Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Newsroom. I'm your host, Khalid. But today is the 29th of January 2024. 10 days left to the elections in Pakistan. And these are the stories that we'll be highlighting during the course of our show. We'll begin with, of course, Pakistan-Iran relations and all of this in the gamut of the visit of Iran's Foreign Minister Hossein Amir Abdullahian, who arrived in Islamabad on an official visit to Pakistan on the invitation of Pakistan's caretaker foreign minister. We'll be discussing and highlighting the different meetings that he has had, the media briefing that he gave along with Mr. Gilani, and of course the meeting with the Chief of the Army Staff that also occurred some time back earlier today. We'll be also highlighting Pakistan-Iran relations in the wake of the tensions that emanated between both the countries and what is the way forward for both countries, as has been enunciated during the media brief between both the foreign ministers. This is going to be our first story. Our second story, ladies and gentlemen, concerns day 115 of the conflict, the war between Israel and Palestine. The United Nations Security Council is going to meet on Wednesday over the decision by the International Court of Justice. We know the decision came on Friday, ordering Israel to prevent acts of genocide in besieged Gaza. This has been requested by Algeria. In the meantime, refugee camps and public facilities across the Khan Yunus camp continue to be bombarded by Israeli forces. And the number of casualties continues to increase. We'll be highlighting that and many other aspects across this war, this conflict between these two states that has been the highlight of the world since the last 115 days. Then we'll be talking about North Korea that has tested a missile from a submarine. North Korean state media KCNA says the country's leader Kim Jong oversaw the launch of 2 submarine-launched cruise missiles, otherwise known as SLCMs, the second test of this weapon within days. What impact is it going to have on the regional countries, Japan, South Korea, and of course the reaction that will come from the West as well. And finally, ladies and gentlemen, today marks 11 years since ptvworld began its transmissions, and of course you've been watching us since 2013, and today on this very day with the 7 p.m. bulletin, the whole transmission of ptvworld began. I was fortunate enough to be on here on the first day as well, and you see 11 years down the lane on the very day I'm also on air. We will be highlighting, of course, all the progress Pakistan Television World has made during its 11 years through the different programs, current affairs shows, and the news that has been informative, educative, and at the same time has been not only towing the state narrative, but also has been based on truth and fact checking. This is going to be our last story. Let's begin with our first, and that concerns Pakistan-Iran relations in the whole wake of the visit of Iran's Foreign Minister Hossein Amir Abdullahian, who arrived in Islamabad on a visit of Pakistan. He is, of course, here on the invitation of caretaker Foreign Minister Jalil Abbas Gilani Sahab. He has had an in-depth meeting with the caretaker Foreign Minister of Pakistan, with the Chief of the Army Staff, and of course it was a very important collective media briefing that both the foreign ministers gave to the media as well. To highlight different aspects of it, we've been joined by Qamar Cheema, Dr. Qamar Cheema rather, let's put it. He's a foreign affairs expert and joins us after a hiatus for my channel on PTV. Well, thank you very much, Dr. Qamar Cheema, to have joined us.
Thank you, sir.
Dr. Qamar Cheema, Iran's foreign minister arrives a couple of days after a lot of tensions had emanated, in fact the 16th of this month, and then of course the reaction that Pakistan showed also. How important do you feel is this visit, looking at the recent developments between the 16th and now?
Thank you very much, Barsab. I think the most important thing is that the Pakistan and Iran have all the channels of communication with each other. And despite the fact these channels of communication are operational, unfortunately we had to go through certain incidents which occurred a week ago or 10 days ago. So I think that was very unfortunate thing, first. Second, I think as we were talking, the foreign minister is here, and it seems as if nothing happened, 10 days or 15 days back. That is the level of the cooperation, that is the level of the relationship between both the countries, and the way I think the political leadership from both the sides and the way the foreign ministers from both the sides address this matter, I think that is in itself very very important issue to understand that how diplomacy can take over everything else, and all that mistrust which is ever is in there between both the countries, that can overcome if the both the foreign ministers of these channels or the channels of the communications stay open. As far as today's conversation of the foreign minister is concerned, I believe I think the most important thing to which both the countries has agreed is that there is a third party which is spoiling the relationship between both the countries. And we have to identify that third party. Pakistan has raised that many times with Iran. Obviously, Iran has its own version of third party, but I think we have to, both the foreign ministers agreed today that there is a third party which is spoiling the relation, and we need to identify, we need to work more for that, so that that third party doesn't come that close, that the relations do not get operational, or the situation arises where the military option has to use between both.
Is that the reason why Dr. Qamar, Cheema, Pakistan and Iran have resolved to expand their ties, especially in the security domain?
I think that's where we need to work. The intelligence cooperation needs to be enhanced and massive. There is an intelligence sharing from both the sides. The intelligence operators of the Iranian authorities and of the Pakistan, they're very willing to engage. For example, in today's conversation, the meeting of the Iranian foreign minister with the Army Chief General Munir, I think they have engaged that the liaison officers need to go. We have the military attaché, I think, already, and I think that's where we need to work more. Particularly, we have a lot of border mechanisms as well. There are Pakistanis and Iranians are already engaging. So the people-to-people contact is there. So the intelligence gathering from both these sides, that needs to be shared, because we share same language, we share same history, we have culture, religious affinity between both the countries. So I think it's easy because the people on both sides of the same ethnicity almost. So we have to identify who are the people who are coming from abroad, from outside, and they are spoiling the relationship. So I think the intelligence gathering and sharing, particularly, not just gathering, because unless you share and we work on those intelligence, and if we when we get intelligence, we work and we need to engage with each other. If there is something happening on the other side of the border, if there is something on our side of the border, as on the basis of intelligence actions are taking on both sides, I think the trust deficit will go, and the relationship, or the miscreants or the terrorists or whoever are spoiling the relation, we will not let them be successful.
Dr. Qamar, Cheema, you talked about the Chief of the Army Staff, and of course he has met with the Foreign Minister of Iran. He has underscored the centrality of respecting each other's sovereignty and territorial integrity, calling it sacrosanct, inviolable, and the most important cardinal of state-to-state relationship. How do you view this comment? I feel it's a very, very important comment.
I think the sovereignty, the territorial integrity, I think the most important the words in any kind of the bilateral relations, and I think the UN Charter gives that cover to these kind of relations between both the countries. So when we talk about the sovereignty and territorial integrity, that means we will engage with each other, we will talk with each other, we will not let third party to intervene, and at the same time, even if we are very close, we have historical relations, we have brotherly relations, but we will not let the mistrust come in, and we will respect come what may. So there is no if and but when we understand the sovereignty of each country. So if Iran respect Pakistan's sovereignty, there should not have been such kind of incident after this time. And we need to respect the sovereignty in letter and spirit. The territorial integrity should be in the letter and the spirit, and not just be taken as two casual words, and those must be respected. So I think that's why the Army Chief have highlighted, and I think the Iranian side are equally giving importance to that, but obviously, unfortunately, Pakistan's territorial integrity and sovereignty was violated, and to that Pakistan responded.
In all of that context, I'd like to reiterate what the Chief of the Army Staff also said during his meeting with the Foreign Minister of Iran, and he emphasized the need for a sustained engagement and utilizing available communication channels to address security concerns. Utilizing communication channels, I feel, is a very important comment out of this as well, because this prevents escalation of tensions between countries. What's your take on that?
I think part of the important thing is that the non-political actors, whatever the information that they do have, I think they need to address, and they need to take advantage of that communication channels. So I think what Army Chief and the discussion today is, which has been discussed today, the situation which has been discussed today, the non-political actors, they also need to communicate. When the non-political actors, if they will do something which is which violates the sovereignty and the territorial integrity, even then the political actors have to sit together to resolve those issues. So that's why the channel of communication. So in today's discussion, it has been said that the liaison officers. So it means the further cooperation is needed.
Military liaison officers.
Military liaison officers. We have layers of cooperation with Iran, and I think the level of understanding which both the countries have, this new mechanism or this new initiative which is being taken, I think that must be utilized to the best of its ability, so that we don't reach to any such kind of a situation again.
Now, when you look at Pakistan and Iran relations, you yourself have said that we have had very strong relations, brotherly relations since decades, and normally there hasn't been any wedge that has caused issues between the two countries, apart from what happened a few days back. How do you see this current gamut of relations between the two sides, and how can that be further strengthened? This is also what both the foreign ministers have said during their meeting, and also while addressing the media after that they have agreed to further strengthen bilateral relations. Looking at the gamut, what should be done in order to further strengthen those?
I think, Basab, that's very important. First, we have, for example, bilateral trade with each other, which is, I think, around $2 billion. The most important thing, which I think in the May last year, when the former Prime Minister Shahbaz Sharif and the incumbent Iranian president, they met at the border and they opened the markets. I think the more bilateral trade is at the border level, the more markets are operational, the more we engage with the Iranian side, and the more Iranian engage with our side, I think that will create that connection. I think that will definitely not let all those non-political actors do any kind of a thing which will definitely create an issue at the societal level. So the people-to-people interaction at the trade level, at the business level, that needs to be increased. We have a lot of because of historical and the religious connection, people go to Iran and people come from Iran and Pakistan. But I think the more we are dependent on Iran in terms of trade, the more Iran is dependent on us. And I think the border mechanism is there. For instance, we get the electricity for Gaza from Iran. I think these kind of Iran is some sort of part of the China-Pakistan economic corridor as well, and Pakistan would love to have any regional country to be part of that. Pakistan has asked that even to the other Muslim countries, Saudi Arabia and many other countries, to come and invest in. I think so. I think that kind of informal or formal mechanisms need to be addressed, established. The more such kind of mechanisms are there, that will definitely put pressure on non-political actors not to take any kind of serious action which can create trouble for both the countries.
All right. Now, Qamar, Cheema, while addressing the media after their meeting, our caretaker, Foreign Minister Jalil Abbas Gilani Saab, said that both sides have agreed to not only prioritize uplift but also develop our border areas. How important is the development of border areas also to prevent the incursion of elements that could prove to be detrimental to either of the states?
I think for that matter, obviously he's talking about to have state-of-the-art border crossing points. That is an important point, because and then this is a long border, so this is a long porous border. So we have to address those lacunas as well as in terms of border. If Iran has built a wall, we also have to work something on that. And then I think the more swift customs process is there. That is, I think, which is better, where on the both sides the custom authorities, whatever in terms of trade, if in terms of religious tourists are going, in terms of the business interaction is there, the more swift that process is, I think that is what the foreign ministers is talking. So I think at the border level, we need to enhance, first of all, obviously the intelligence sharing. We need to have that border mechanism in terms of trade, in terms of excise cooperation, and customs cooperation. So I think that will definitely increase further, help both countries to not let the miscreants to take advantage of any kind of a situation. So
Qamar, Cheema, the Iranian foreign minister says during, while addressing the media as well after the meeting, that his country, and this is a very important statement, he said his country considers Pakistan's security as the security of Iran and that of the entire region. How important is this statement in your point of view? What do you take out of it?
I think that's a very important statement in a way that Iran takes Pakistan's security as a security of Iran's security. I think the common enemy between both the countries is terrorism. So let's fight that. So that's what I think the foreign minister, Iranian foreign minister, is sharing. So, and Pakistan is also saying that we don't have any border issue with Iran. We don't have any other kind of a conflict with Iran. So the threat and that is terrorism. So we have to address that. And I think in the regional context, we have to see that in this either Bab al-Mandeb, Strait of Hormuz, on the Red Sea or the Arabian Sea, whatever the non-state actors are operating, I think he is saying that we can work together in addressing, in promoting our interest in that region, even in, these days, WhatsApp, the channel of communication, the sea lanes have become very important because of the threats which are emerging in the Red Sea area or in the Bab al-Mandeb or the Strait of Hormuz, and we have seen the Iranian have captured some ships as well. So I think he's addressing and he's asking that it's not just the Pakistan security is very important, and it's Iran's obligation and it's Iran's interest that to protect Pakistan's interest even beyond that and in that region as well. So I think that's a very welcoming statement from the Iranian foreign minister.
The Iranian foreign minister also says that both sides have agreed to expand pilgrimage tourism. That's something also you alluded to a bit before during our conversation, and finalize projects on energy cooperation. What do you feel that this is something that can be worked upon in the coming days or months? Do you feel the Iranian side is interested in that?
I think Iranian side is also interested, but I think we have to take very strong political action and have a political consensus for getting energy from Iran. And for that matter, I think the Pakistani authorities and the Pakistan's political class, Pakistan's parliament, they need to be more assertive, because remember, for Pakistan, the most important thing is our people. So we have to look that we are not getting an expensive energy. Remember, India is getting that cheap energy from Russia. So Iran is our next door neighbor. We have to get that cheap energy. And for that matter, the political consensus is needed and political approach is required. And political solutions can be there, so that the more cheap energy in Pakistan, the less there will be inflation, and so on and so forth. We will be better in a position of production, industry, and all these things. So I think that's what we need to do. And as far as the pilgrimage is concerned, I think the more the airlines are operating in Tehran and Lahore and Karachi and Mashhad and Islamabad and Mashhad and Lahore and Karachi, I think the better it is for both the countries, because there are tourists who at some point they get trouble when they have to travel to Dubai or other places, and then they have to go to Iran. So it's just a neighboring country, and it's very annoying at some times when we have to go to the third country to reach to Iran. I think we should encourage the aviation industry that they should facilitate and they should have more cheaper flight rates so that the people who travel via road or so they can travel via air. I think we need to encourage that, and Iran itself has a cheap energy. They have cheap oil, and their airline companies can start that kind of.
Last question, I'd like a short answer to it. There was a recent tweet by the Iranian ambassador in Pakistan that talks about the dejection after hearing about some Pakistani workers, of course, involved in an incident. And he said, and I quote, "Enemies of relations are active to fuel misunderstandings, still hapless and furious due to their unsuccess as we're resolute to succeed. My condolences to the government of Pakistan, people of Pakistan, families who have lost their loved ones." What needs to be done by Iran in the wake of this incident as well?
Pasab, I think the elements who did all that, they knew that the Iranian foreign minister was coming. The relations got restored. The ambassadors have gone back to both the capitals. So they did know what both the countries are getting normal in terms of the bilateral relations. So the third party did take advantage of that, and deliberately the people of particular ethnicity were killed, so that just to create further wedge between Pakistan and Iran. But I think the Pakistan and Iran today have realized, and they have again shared the information and further strengthened the resolve that we will not let that third party be successful. And the Iranian authorities have been cooperating with the Pakistan, and I think the Pakistani ambassador in Iran have spoken to the victims, the families of the victims, and to those injured. And he has communicated that the Iranian authorities will help us to reach to the culprits and to give justice to those who have been killed in this incident.
Last question, Dr. Qamar Cheema, what avenues of cooperation do you feel could be primordial for building relations, further building on the relations between Pakistan and Iran, apart from the security apparatus, apart from the others that have been talked about in the meetings with the Chief of the Army Staff and with the Foreign Minister of Pakistan?
I think, Basab, the most important thing is that at the border level, if the communication, if the trade is increased and the people are more frequently can travel formally and legally, I think that is the most important thing, and that will definitely encourage the governments to take actions and decisions which will definitely be for the people. So whenever there's something which will happen which is not in the interest of the country, obviously that bilateral dependence of both the countries which will be at the border level, that will increase, because we understand Iran is under international sanctions, and so we have to create mechanism at the border level where trade engagement is frequent, which is obviously at the end of the day is the interest of the people of both Iran and Pakistan. Iran is our neighboring country. We just cannot let Iran because of those sanctions. We have to, as I mentioned earlier, we have to take strong political. We have to have strong political commitments from all the political quarters. It should not be just, they must not play to the gallery, or it should not be a political rhetoric.
Agreed. But the strong commitment needs to be from both the sides. I think any relationship is two-sided. It can never be one-sided. I think that is how I'd like to see it. Thank you very much, Dr. Qamar Cheema, to have joined us, to have talked about this very important avenue and, of course, point of discussion, that is Pakistan and Iran relations in the wake of all that has been happening. Thank you very much, Dr. Saab, to have joined us. Let's come to our second story, and that concerns day 115 of the war, the conflict that has been going on between Israel and Palestine. And we all know of what has been happening. We all know of the diplomatic efforts that have been going on. We also know about the United Nations Security Council that is going to meet on Wednesday over the decision by the International Court of Justice ordering Israel to prevent acts of genocide. This has been, of course, called by Algeria. At the same time, we also see the bombardment of different camps that is happening in Gaza as we speak. We also have seen the group calling itself the Islamic Resistance in Iraq that has claimed responsibility for a drone attack that killed 3 American soldiers and wounded 34 others at a base along the Jordan-Syria border, which Iran, of course, denies any involvement in it. It says that there is no part of Iran at all in this drone strike that has killed 3 US soldiers. Iran's foreign ministry has also released a statement in that order. We will be discussing different aspects of that and much, much more because this is an avenue that is developing with every passing hour. We've been joined by Agha Iqrar Haroon. He's a senior analyst and he's right here with us in the studios. Agha Iqrar Haroon, thank you very much to have joined us. Let's begin with the United Nations Security Council. It's meeting on Wednesday over the decision by the ICJ on Friday to prevent acts, to push Israel to prevent the acts of genocide in Gaza. What would be the outcome in your point of view?
Thank you so much. First of all, we still don't know what is the main point of agenda. If there is a ceasefire or not. This is the one important thing, because even the ceasefire didn't come in ICJ decision. If there would be a ceasefire or an agenda, then I think America would go for veto. They don't want. Other agendas are include to give them some psychological or human passage to Palestinians. This is again, it would be the American will, whether Israel ready to bargain or not. So I don't have any high hopes or high expectations.
But can there be any cessation of hostilities? At least the way they are, killing people left, right, and center, and torturing people and denying them access to food and water. Can that be somehow curtailed?
I doubt. Look, it is expanding now. Situation is expanding. Now Houthis are under attack by the United States and United Kingdom. Lebanon is under attack. Even Syria is under attack from a different, pro-Israeli players. So in these circumstances, I don't have any expectation for anything good come out from Middle East until and unless Americans decide to behave calmly or at least sensibly.
All right. So, this means, in your point of view, that the U.S. Central Intelligence Agency's head, who is currently in talks with Egyptian, Qatari, and Israeli officials in Paris on Sunday, for a ceasefire, those talks will also not herald some kind of a change as far as this conflict is concerned.
As you mentioned, I was also following this development when the news was flash. So, if there could have been any positive outcome of that, like the ceasefire, it could have been in the news. That was not. It was just a news about a meeting, and the meeting was held. That is it. So, I believe, I have reason to believe that there was no concrete, any positive thing came out regarding the ceasefire. So, it was one of the meetings which are being held all over the world, because Israel has a very firm decision and stance to purge and completely erase Palestinian, and America is also, somehow or other I feel it is behind a, sometime I feel it is incompetent enough to control Israel, or sometime I feel it is simply it's waiting for the election time to come. Just before election, I think, before election, they may activate their all power with Israel for a ceasefire. Then it will help them for elections.
All right. Now, before we come to the internal politics of Israel, I'd like to understand the role of UNRWA and what it has been embroiled in of recently. There have been allegations by Israel saying that some of the members, 12 if I'm not wrong, are involved in the attacks that happened on the 7th of October. United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres calls on the donor states to guarantee flow of vital aid to Gaza. There are so many countries that have stopped the aid to Gaza. UNRWA has said that it will not be able to sustain the aid if they are not being funded. But Germany, on the other hand, says that they doesn't matter. There will be other avenues of guaranteeing aid to Palestine. How do you see this development?
What other avenues are? This again, simply it was a story. Look, being a student of political philosophy or a practitioner in journalism for the last 3 decades, I read every news to find the semiotic of that. Does it lead to pragmatism? Can it lead to pessimism? Or this is just a statement of 3 paras? These all things are, I'm sorry, are just statements. If there are other avenues, they have, of course, they know, if they know there are, they could have mentioned some of them. This is very generalized statement. The other avenues. What are the other avenues? Are these other avenues being accepted by the Israel also? Or not?
So basically, you are curtailing the aid in form of water, in form of food, in form of medicine to the
medicine was the first, then the food, the water, and actually we are not getting the real stories of I'm from the ground, so-called ground zero. I don't understand how they are surviving, because the big aid came only for some hours, not even the day, whole day. If you remember. Since then, it is more than, I think, 1 month. In last 1 month, there was no huge input of.
True.
So their survival is at stake, and we don't know how many people are dying every day.
When it comes to survival, I feel only Rafah is the place where they can have some kind of a safe ground to stay in. But as far as the other places are concerned, they are being bombarded non-stop.
Non-stop, and. They believe they will raise everything over there, and they are doing it. So this is the real situation, and I don't have I'm not have high hopes with this UNSC meeting, but there's a big but. what will the outcome if America comes again with a veto. So, this will be an interesting development for every student of international affairs and humanity. This would be the fourth veto in a row, and because if ceasefire, as you mentioned, there was a meeting in Paris which I was following very extensively.
Yesterday.
Yes, I was following even extensively. I didn't find any positive news out of this development.
All right.
So, if there would be ceasefire on agenda, definitely America would veto that.
All right. Now, speaking of UNRWA, there has been opposition to the demand by the countries that they are going to stop aid, and who have already suspended aid. There has been the Secretary General of the Norwegian Refugee Council, who has also pleaded that donors do not starve children for the sins of a few individual aid workers. The Egyptian Foreign Minister has said he was surprised by the move to pause UNRWA funding. Turkish Foreign Ministry has urged countries that have paused funding to reconsider their move. United Nations reported experts warns that funding cuts could mean famine was now inevitable in Gaza. What happens if people don't have food? What happens if famine engulfs those people? Is that what Israel wants, to kill all those people, whether by bullets or by bombs or by denying them food and water?
This is what Israel plans. So, it is more, this is the big responsibility lies to the actual Egypt. Egypt is a neighboring country. Egypt is has a potential, politically and diplomatically it has a leverage. Okay, one day Egypt should say we are coming with aids from Egyptian aid, you have to give us access. And that is the only option left with Egypt as a mediator, a so-called mediator, because Egypt had been very active. So, if it is very active for excess of aid and ceasefire or normalization, why doesn't it come with aids and ask them to open your border? Egypt is bordering this area.
All right.
Only meetings are being held. Nothing tangible is there.
All right.
So, this would be the next this February would be the second month without extensive aid inside this entire Gaza belt or strip.
At the same time, we are seeing somewhere an extension of this conflict beyond Palestine. You have seen this group calling the Islamic Resistance in Iraq that claims responsibility for a drone attack that kills 3 American soldiers, wounds 34 others at a base along the Jordan-Syria border. Iran denies it. The Iranian Foreign Ministry officially says that it has these are baseless accusations connecting it to the attack that killed 3 US soldiers, and these are aimed at fanning the flames of war. But the United States and the United Kingdom have blamed these Iran-backed groups for Sunday's attack. Is this being created as an opportunity to somehow attack Iran, to somehow extend the horizons of this conflict?
Very, very pertinent question you have come up. There is an excess of resistance. There is more than 8 so-called non-state actors who are resisting Israeli expansion and American hegemony in Middle East. These are called terrorist organizations, and as you mentioned, another organization has taken the responsibility for attack. Anybody who will attack America or Israel, definitely immediately America will tag it as a Iranian sponsored non-state actor. Now, as you have rightly mentioned, America has decided to attack Iran.
It is under pressure. Joe Biden is under pressure to have give some kind of response to this.
Yes. So, it will be you can say a new then America will not only attack Iran, America will attack all Chinese interests in the region. Remember this thing, since last 1.5 years, Iran has a strategic partnership with China, which is this is on record. then it will the American attack will be also an attack on the Russian interest in the Middle East, because always Iran stood with Russia over Ukraine war. So then this attack will not be the attack only one country. This will be attack will ignite a situation in where China, Russia, Iran, America, and all NATO's will stand. I mean, they will be eyeball to eyeball.
All right, because you know.
And I tell one more thing: China is not the old China, which did not believe in non-violent or you can say non-violence achievements. China is very clear. China is looking after its interest, and this Strait of Hormuz, this your Gwadar port and Chabahar port strategically is a very important place for China. This is technically the only safest route for China to reach the Middle East, because the Malacca state can be closed by Americans, this so-called Indo-Pacific developments. So can China afford a full-fledged war in this area where China has been investing very heavily for the last at least 10 years, but particularly for the last 1.5 years. So this will be a new theatre will.
I hope it doesn't happen, because the Iranian foreign ministry spokesperson has openly said that these groups do not take orders from the Islamic Republic of Iran, quote unquote, and so I think it couldn't be clearer than this. Another thing that I'd like to understand, Israeli cabinet ministers have attended the Return to Gaza conference to plan illegal settlements in Gaza.
Yeah.
Israel's far-right national security minister Itamar Ben-Gvir calls for the voluntary migration of Palestinians at this conference, where 21 new illegal Israeli settlements have been outlined. Doesn't it go against the rulings of the International Court of Justice on the war in Gaza?
Definitely. But who cares? This is what I'm asking everybody nowadays. Israel doesn't care anybody. Anybody which has a power of veto and which is linked with NATO, it doesn't care anybody. That is very clear. What we have seen in Middle East for the last 20 years, from the Operation Thunderstorm to the Operation Enduring Freedom in our neighborhood. Nobody had stopped America and its NATO allies to whatever they wish to do, they did it. You just imagine. Clamping and involving Libya was a very interesting. Without any reason, within 2 weeks, they involved Libya because they wanted to be Gaddafi to be killed. So they are expanding everywhere, and because they know nobody can stop them. So if you talk about this new settlements, and if you remember, almost 25,000 Ukrainian left this area who were here, who came from Ukraine to be to settle over in Israel. They left Israel after this. The war started over there. But according to my information from the European media, thousands and thousands are coming back. So they have they thought the bad patch is gone, so they can come and they can again start construction in Gaza. Now they have the whole place to. This is the whole Gaza is there to be rebuilt with Israeli money and with Ukrainian hands.
Now you are saying they are building more settlements. I'd like to add.
And
to
sorry,
this.
India is also sending their laborers.
Yes, who are queuing. We saw that report in which they were queuing in line to get jobs.
Yes. So just according to my understanding, what I gather information, the Eastern European people would arrive over there. The Indian laborers would be there to construct the houses, and the money will arrive from America and Israel. And within next 1 year or so, total Gaza will be new, very cleanly constructed with beautiful roads and every facilities, but for the Jews and for Israel is not for Palestinians.
Okay. Finally, adding to this, the Israeli army has told Palestinians who are living on the coast in Gaza City to evacuate their homes as an indication of increased military assaults in the area. Now that they're also asking people to evacuate the coastline, do you feel this is also an attempt to further garner your
Yes.
presence there,
Yes.
and then create the settlements, and then have direct access to the warm waters.
Yes. And if you go to the UNGA council meeting, the map which was shown over there, it links India with the Middle East, crossing so-called Palestine, ended at Haifa, and from Haifa they will connect to the Europe. So this is what you are. I mean, this is all planned. They want to get whole of the land, and this you can so-called what I can call it passage or corridor. It goes in the middle of the Gaza. I have seen the map. There is no Gaza, no, not at all.
So this is basically the ultimate plan as far
Yes,
as
and they are very look. They are very confident. They are very, you can say, brave. They showed this plan to whole of the world in a United Nations General Council meeting, and nobody sitting over there contested that map. This is the reality, my dear.
unfortunate realities, but let's see what the next coming days have in store for this conflict. We need to remain cautiously optimistic at some point, because there needs to be some kind of we all become pessimistic and don't see some development, we cannot move forward. We are a bit short
Omar,
of time.
neither you are pessimist nor I am pessimist, but our experience, our education give us a sense of realization.
True.
And we are realistic. So this is whatever is going on. You are documenting it. We are discussing it. We are giving our pragmatic approach also, and we want to be pragmatic. But this is not pessimism. Pessimism is something else.
This is realism, basically.
This is realism. This is realism. In pessimism, you think there are chances to become something good, but we are no, it would not be good. But here is no chance for a good. When people don't have water, they don't have I mean,
they don't have any facility whatsoever. But the fact
exactly, they have nothing to survive, my dear.
I totally agree with you on that. But I continue to be cautiously optimistic. Thank you very much, Agha, Iqrar, Haroon, senior analyst, to have joined us, to have talked to us about this day 115 and so many developments that are happening. Kindly stay with us for the next 2 or 3 minutes till we finish our show. Let's begin with the next two stories, the last two stories. Firstly, concerning North Korea, whose state media says that its leader Kim Jong-un has overseen the launch of 2 submarine-launched cruise missiles, which is the second test of the weapon within days. This newly developed Pul Hawasal 331 missiles flew in the sky above the East Sea to hit the right target. This has also been stated by the KCNA. South Korea's military has also announced on Sunday that multiple missiles had been launched from waters near the North Korean port of Sinpo, where Pyongyang operates a shipyard. Now, the testing of these cruise missiles, which are jet propelled, is not banned under the United Nations sanctions imposed over North Korea's nuclear weapons program that outlaw ballistic missile testing. The KCNA has also said that the North Korean leadership was very satisfied with the outcome or with the results of this. But South Korea, of course, has its apprehensions. They say that it's going to pose a new threat to South Korea. In recent months, we all know North Korea has tested a variety of weapons, including ballistic missile systems under development and an underwater drone as well. So, of course, it's a continuation in that respect. Finally, ladies and gentlemen, we are doing this show on PTV World. Today is the 11th anniversary of our channel. We began on the 29th of January 2013 with a small setup. The setup still remains. We began with the 7 p.m. news. That was the first time the transmission was aired. And since then, we have only built up, become stronger. The number of programming increased, the current affairs programs, the infotainment programs, the one-to-one interview-based programs, and the interview of celebrities, of international political leaders has continued on this channel, PTV World. A lot of international NGOs, our diplomats, our expatriates abroad have been not only wishing us well over the years and watching our transmissions fervently, but also have been giving us pointers on how we could make ourselves better. And this is what we have been endeavoring to do in the last few years, and we continue to do so. Your input is, of course, very valuable to us, and we continue to improve ourselves with each passing day. And that is the case should be with any media channel, including ours. We need to strive to be the best, but also improve ourselves with every passing day. This is what we have been doing. This we will continue to do. And 11 years down the drain, 11 years down memory lane, we still remember the first day, and 11 years afterwards, we still are imbibed with the same passion, with the same zeal to continue highlighting the important events in Pakistan and abroad with neutrality, with a certain perspective, and with complete fact checking before those facts are laid before you. This is what PTV World has been all about: infotainment, education, entertainment, and of course the right information with the right fact checking. With that, ladies and gentlemen, we come to an end of today's newsroom. We'll see you inshallah tomorrow with new segment stories that pertain to us here in Pakistan. Stay safe. Allah Hafiz.